We're in a pretty tough spot today. My daughter had what very much appeared to be a seizure, so they are headed back to they're in the emergency room right now. And, doing all manner of scans and tests and whatnot. And I'm in kind of a tough, semi-stranded state right now. I can't be up there at the hospital. When you have two kids and one of them has like a long-term medical thing, you can't 100% focus to the exclusion of your other kid on the sick kid. So I'm trying to, have a I'm trying to do something with my son, but major stuff's happening. So we're at the park, and I am stewing on everything, kind of worried, kind of freaking out, and so I'm trying to get my mind off things. So I wanted to talk to you about something, but I was going to talk through this anyway. But now I'm worried that it's going to take on like a darker tone because that's my general mood. So I'm curious. I want to ask you guys some questions. If you found out that maybe I was at Starbucks and I overheard a conversation at a table adjacent to me about some guys that were going to go, they were planning on, robbing a bank. And they were talking about the weapons they were going to use and how they, weren't concerned about, body counts. They weren't concerned about hurting people. They just wanted to figure out how to get that money. And I overheard all this stuff and did nothing. What would you think of me? I think there is no positive obligation on anyone to especially put themselves in any kind of risk. But there's no positive obligation to act in someone else's defense, in general. But it's also important to say that aesthetically, I think a real douchebag stands by while other people are injured and does nothing. What would you think of me after you found that out? What about if you found out that I don't know, let's say there was a water park with a bunch of people in a pool, and for some reason something happened and started causing all the people in this pool to start drowning for whatever reason. Let's say it's a pool with like variable depth water, and something went wrong with the machinery, and the water level went up too high and the people couldn't swim long enough, and I was sitting right next to this button, and I could have like effortlessly just pushed the button and lowered the water level or drained the pool and saved all those people's lives. Not my job to watch the pool. I'm just kind of a random bystander, but I knew what was happening. I knew the people were in trouble. I knew that they were about to die. I knew exactly what the button in front of me did. I knew that the button in front of me could have saved those people. I just couldn't be bothered to expend the minuscule amount of effort required to push that button, save a bunch of people's lives. You found that out about me. What would you do? What would you think of me? Would you treat me the same way? Would you associate with me anymore? Would you take time out of your day to tell everyone that you know about what I chose not to do in order to ruin my reputation? You certainly wouldn't appreciate me, would you? You wouldn't then depend on me for your future safety. You wouldn't probably place me in a position of watching out for other people's safety or care or taking, watch over people, right? Obviously not. That would be insane. Now again, I don't think that you can initiate force on someone for choosing not to take positive action to help people. I don't think you can attack someone for choosing not to help someone in a situation that they did create. Obviously, if I had put the people in the pool or if I had broken the equipment, then I would own that situation and the effects thereof. But I can't think of a much more heinous thing for a person to do that doesn't rise. I mean, like, that's treading on the line of like another tiny toe step forward and you've crossed the line into actual aggression, like something you could attack someone for. You could attack me over. I think it's like just a hair before that. Because I didn't create the situation, I don't own it, and there are no positive obligations. But there should, and there is, and there definitely, like, whatever extreme level of ostracization you could think of, I think I would be deserving of if I sat there and withheld a near effortless action that resulted in a lot of people dying. Where am I going with this? So again, forgive me, these are kind of dark thoughts today, but I think it's worth some thought. Let me tell you why. Out of the many news reports that I saw coming out of Sri Lanka, where people bombed churches full of people, what if I had been sitting at that Starbucks and those terrorists had been sitting at that table and I had overheard their entire plot and their entire plan and their entire intention to go do what they did? And what if I'd overheard maybe the location of the supplies they were going to use to do that, and I knew where they were going to be, when they were going to be there, and I found out from overhearing that, you know, I could go over there and, I don't know, take them, break them, burn them, stop the attack, tell someone, do literally anything. Like a text message on my phone to the police would have been enough to probably change what happened that day. But I chose not to. Let's say I chose not to. I heard all that, chose not to. Okay, so we kind of have the same situation. We have me that could have almost near effortlessly stopped a mass tragedy, a lot of harm and a lot of death to a lot of people with very little effort. And let's say I chose not to. What? I mean, it would just be the most extreme level of ostracization. Like, no one should ever speak to me again. No one should ever... I mean, like, that is right there. Again, that is just right there on that line of just the worst possible non-violent punishment I could imagine is what I would deserve if I chose to not do something. Okay, so here's where I'm going. I saw a photo come out of one of the many news reports coming out of Sri Lanka. And it was a picture of a statue of Jesus Christ, covered in soot and blood and a little bit of entrails from the people that were murdered in one of the bombings. It was one of the most powerful photos, certainly, that I've ever seen. And it brought a question to mind. A pretty powerful question. A pretty taboo question for many people. But in this dark mood that I'm in right now, it certainly came up. The question is, why didn't God stop it? Why didn't God prevent it from happening? He's omniscient. He had perfect knowledge. He knew exactly what they were going to do, when they were going to do it, how they were going to do it, why they were going to do it, who was going to do it, where they were going to do it, who was going to be injured, who was going to be killed. Literally knew everything about it. And he's also supposed to be omnipotent, which means that it would have taken an infinitely small amount of effort on his part. Equivalent to no effort at all. It would have been effortless for him to have stopped those attacks. And certainly in terms of like things that, you know, God would be motivated to do, it would be attacks on his own worshipers, the people that were in his building actively engaged in worshiping him. Why didn't he save them? Why do people, just like the government and the state, and oftentimes just like elders in a family, why do people It's like there's a blind spot, a void that people never see when it comes time to assign blame and culpability and negative association to an event. It's like he, she, whatever, God gets a free pass. He sat there by the pool, knowing the people were about to drown. Could have, just like, without even trying, he could have pushed the button to lower the water level and save them. Chose not to. Sat there and watched it happen. He sat there, floated there, whatever, and watched it happen. He watched it happen. Knew it was going to happen. Sat there and watched it happen. So for those that believe in God, how's that going to change how you interact with him? Is it going to change in the same way that it would change for literally anyone else that stood by and chose to not expend an infinitesimally small amount of effort to prevent an atrocity from happening? No? Why not? Why not? You know, the people in my life that are the most aware of ethics and philosophy and the non-aggression principle and libertarian thought, let's say, I hold to the highest standards, not to the lowest. I cut them the least slack in their behavior, because they are walking through life eyes wide open. They know what they're doing, and they know the effects of what they're doing, and they know the ethical implications of what they're doing. So I don't cut them any slack. So if God, again, is the most good, most holy, most everything that we're supposed to want to be, wouldn't he be held to the highest standards instead of given a free pass? So that's kind of the point of the video that I wanted to make. Thanks for letting me sit here and get my mind off things for a little while. It did help. I do feel a little better just having got my mind off things for a while. I'm not sure what the near future holds. I'm going to do the best I can for me, for my family, for you guys, the channel. We're going to do the best we can. I am interested in your comments. If you think there's something that I missed, if you believe in God and think that he should get a pass on this for some reason and not be held to the same kind of account that we would hold literally anyone else, I am curious what your reasoning is and justification is for that. Please drop it in the comments sometime. Thanks for watching, guys.